Over 400 kilometers of cycling behind me, and I was a few steps closer to making it to Saudi Arabia. I'd pedalled almost the entire length of the Negev desert in the south of Israel, and had made it all the way to Tel Aviv. Along the way, I'd experienced incredible Bedouin hospitality in Bir Hadaj and Rahat, prayers and dancing for a Jewish camping festival called Sukkot, and seen from a distance how a military occupation and blockade was kept well hidden by the Israeli government. Before cycling into the occupied Palestinian territories, the next phase of the journey would take me to the north of Israel, to Haifa, Nazareth, and an area legally recognised as part of Syria, the Golan Heights. So here's where I need to add a disclaimer, and you can skip to 239 if you've heard me say this before. Following the brutal 2023 attack that killed 1,200 people in Israel and saw nearly 250 kidnapped, and Israel's devastating invasion of the Gaza Strip, over 40,000 Palestinians have been killed and almost 2 million displaced, leading the International Court of Justice to rule that the population of Gaza is at imminent risk of genocide. But Israel has ignored international pressure and UN rulings to limit its invasion and bombardment of the Gaza Strip, and has since expanded its invasion to Lebanon, a major escalation in the war. This episode was filmed before the war in Gaza, but I know now is a weird time to be publishing videos like this from Israel given the circumstances. My goal through these videos has always been to learn about everything from culture to conflict in the places I cycle through, and present that to you, whoever's watching this. I have covered the war in Gaza and its impacts on Palestinians in 2 videos on my channel, and I will continue to cover the occupation of the West Bank in the future. But I am releasing this series mostly in the order that I filmed it. So this particular episode is not about the war. Instead, treat this video just as a glimpse into what this journey through Israel and Palestine was like before the war. And keep in mind as you watch it that it does not reflect the gravity of the situation today or the suffering millions are enduring in the occupied Palestinian territories and now Lebanon as well. Now, with all that context in mind, back to the video, where I'd made it to Tel Aviv. After a couple of recovery days, I pedalled out of Tel Aviv, leaving the city for the final time. And I'd managed to find a shortcut on the map that would take me through some farmland.
I've accidentally ended up on a load of sand, and it is very difficult to cycle on. God. Oh my God. This was such a mistake coming down here. Just so sandy. And my wheels do not like it.
Two kilometers pushing my bike over the sand, and I finally made it back to a road, closing in on my next destination. Tonight, I'd be staying with 2 hosts I'd met at the roadside a couple of weeks earlier.
Efrat and Ohad recognized me at the roadside and stopped to say hello. So hello guys.
Hello.
Thank
Shalom.
you.
So I made my way to their home in Shah Ephraim. As the sun was setting, Ohad took me out in his car to show me around. Once again, I was close to another green line. the term given to the 1949 armistice line separating Israel from the Palestinian territories of the West Bank and Gaza Strip, which also forms Israel's internationally recognized borders.
This is the original border between Israel and Jordan, and then Israel occupied the West Bank. The orange lights, this is the border, this is the green light.
And this is where that uncomfortable realization emerges again, just like it did on the Gaza border further south. Here, at this hilltop, you overlook Israel's military occupation of the West Bank, something that the United Nations considers a violation of international law. And yet, on this side of the fence, life went on as normal. Just a few hundred meters from the Green Line were families queuing up at a food truck, with a view of Palestinian towns and villages in the valleys below, highlighting just how normalized the occupation has become. It got dark and we headed back to Ohad and Efrat's place for dinner and a rest, before I'd continue further north the next day.
There is such an army of cats out here. Hello. So the cats here keep the snakes away, apparently, because there's lots of snakes and there's some quite dangerous ones in this part of Israel. So these guys serve as snake repellents. Oh, and occasionally repellents to other cats as well. My hosts very kindly put my water bottles in the fridge last night, so I've got nice cold water for the day. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right, here we go. So Ohad, my host, is coming up behind me. Bye bye. Thanks, Ohad. This is broken. This is broken for sure. I don't know what that means or how much of a problem that is, but probably quite a big one. So this is what keeps happening. The chain keeps popping off of this thing at the back. You can see it's like off to the side now. I just made it about 10 meters. I made it about 10 meters and then this just happened again. Okay, I'm having to hitchhike. This is snapped off my bike. I don't know what it does. I think it keeps the chain in place here. So this is snapped off. My chain now the bike's not rideable. I've been on this stretch, just kind of inching my way forward. Oh, it's raining now as well. Ah. I've been here a little while now.
Luckily, on his way home from work in an empty freezer truck, Hadar pulled over and gave me a ride to a nearby bike shop.
Thank you so much, this has been great.
You're welcome.
Lifesaver.
I'm happy to help you, man.
Thank you. So, I need a new derailleur. The derailleur's broken. It's fixed. I can cycle again. All right, the bike is fixed, sorted, and I'm gonna keep heading on. Thanks again, guys. Bye. Man, it's actually raining. I'm so unprepared for the rain. I was expecting only hot, sunny weather while I'm here, so this is pretty unexpected. This is not what I signed up for. I hope this passes soon.
The rain cleared and I continued cycling north towards another host in Haifa.
Wow, the bike's really falling apart today. This just came off here. So it's starting to get dark now. My host, who I'm staying with tonight, knows about what happened with the bike today. He's actually said he's going to drive to pick me up a little bit outside of Haifa because I wasn't able to cycle anywhere near as far as I would have done today because of all the stuff that happened with the bike. So I'm just going to keep cycling down this road and he's going to pick me up.
This is where I met David.
Thank you, David. Spasiba.
No problem.
Cool.
No problem.
Now, David was the father of one of my first hosts earlier on the trip. Anat and Ilya invited me to stay at their place on Yahel Kibbutz after my first day of cycling. And when I'd mentioned I'd be visiting Haifa, they'd put me in touch with David. He was a physicist who'd left the Soviet Union before its collapse. And, using his expertise, he'd once built a sail to attach to his bike and cycled around the USSR. So, despite the language barrier, we had some common ground. And I'd be staying with him and his wife, Elia.
Tirin, yes.
Yes. This looks amazing. Spasiba. Merci. And toda. Thank you.
Home to almost 300,000 people, Haifa is a rare example of a mixed and somewhat integrated city in Israel, at least compared to other cities here. It's around 70% Jewish and 14% Arab. On top of that, around a quarter of its residents come from former Soviet countries. In fact, in Israel, after Hebrew and Arabic, Russian is the third most common spoken language. And this is the result of the collapse of a giant.
In Moscow, the hammer and sickle is lowered for the last time, and an era comes to an end.
In 1991, almost 70 years after its creation, the Soviet Union collapsed. And a wave of Jewish migrants left its former territory for Israel. Now, there had been a lot of migration of Jews from the Soviet Union to Israel in the 1960s and 70s already, largely due to persecution. But this was just over 150,000 people across years. This time, in the blink of an eye, Israel's population increased by 20%. Most of the 1 million new arrivals settled in Russian enclaves in cities like Haifa and Ashdod. Today, you'll see Russian written on storefronts and signs in some of these cities. And if you turn on the TV, you might stumble across Channel 9, the national Russian language television station.
Похоже, партия Кадима окончательно разваливается, и вопрос в том, она доживет до выборов.
Nowadays, there are around 1.5 million Russian speakers in Israel, or 15% of the total population. My hosts, David and Elia, among them.
Hello! Thank you, David. David has taken me around Haifa.
What do you want?
This donut.
That's all?
This is all I want, yeah.
That's all?
David's trying to get me to have more sweets.
Kiev.
Thank you very much. Shukran.
As a side note, by night, the city has a bit of a wild boar problem.
I think this is a warning about putting your rubbish in a bin and like closing the top so that they don't go crazy for the rubbish.
I waited out the rain for a few days here before I prepared to move on.
Possible you want sandwich?
Ah, yes, actually, yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Good luck, good way, good luck, good way.
Thank you both.
Okay. Good wishes for your parents, for your friends,
Thank you, and for your family as
and
well.
for your business.
Yes.
This business must be good.
This time, I was heading for the first of many holy cities on this journey. My next stop was the hometown of Jesus Christ, Nazareth.
I don't know what happened there. This fell off. I really hope that hasn't screwed up my bike. It's been a while since I've gone up a proper hill. It's so much greener here than where I've been cycling already. And it's much more humid up here. The desert was really hot, but it was dry. This is quite sticky weather, just a bit more suffocating. There's an election coming up here, so I'm imagining that those people have something to do with that. Wow, the hills today are some of the hardest I've done on the whole trip so far.
Just as it was getting dark, I made it to the outskirts of Nazareth, a holy city where Jesus is said to have spent most of his childhood and adolescence.
Nazareth is hilly. I'm just going up these streets now, taking my bike for the day, and it's all stairs. There are so many stairs that I have to get past, which has been a little bit challenging. I'm on my way to the highest point in Nazareth, I think, so I kind of only have myself to blame by choosing to go there. Man.
Turn left.
Oh my god,
right.
this is so steep. These old windy streets are really disorientating, and I'm very lost. I've been walking around them for ages trying to get to this church at the top of a hill. This is where I am. It's really beautiful. This behind me is the hometown of Jesus Christ. It's Nazareth, and I've just spent the day exploring it a little bit and seeing all the different religious buildings, which has been fascinating to see them all side by side. Nazareth is another mixed city, but while Haifa was mixed more on ethnic grounds, it was a Jewish Arab city, this is mixed more religiously. This is mostly a Christian Muslim city.
Over 99% of Nazareth's 80,000 residents are Palestinian Arabs. It is not only the largest Palestinian city in Israel, but also, as Christ's hometown, it's one of the holiest cities in Christianity. Of that Palestinian population, almost 70% is Muslim and around 30% Christian. This makes it a majority Muslim city with a substantial Christian minority in a predominantly Jewish state.
Something seems to be happening in this church. They're so good. They're so good.
They're training for Christmas. They do a yearly tradition. It's like from 1980s. This is church, this is a Catholic church, and here we are Scouts.
today is a pretty mad day. I've got 61 kilometers to cycle today, but I have 1,300 meters of climbing to do because this area is really hilly and mountainous. So I'm just setting off now. It's midday and I'm hoping to make it about 60 kilometers by 7 o'clock. As you can see up ahead, this is going to be a brutal day. The traffic in Nazareth is really, really bad. It's totally motionless here.
Do you want to help?
Oh no, it's okay.
I see you are struggling. It's
I think it's harder for you.
Yes.
With the, I can go past the side. Oh. Whew. That was brutal. It is so steep. Oh wow. This is crazy. Oh my god, my hands. Oh. Man, today is knackering. I'm getting higher and higher and then I'm dropping back down to 50 meters below sea level near the Sea of Galilee before climbing up again to about 500 meters above sea level. If you look at the landscape behind me, this is northern Israel, and compare it to the landscape I cycled through at the beginning of this trip in the Negev. There's so much more greenery around here. Why is it like this? Israel is kind of the last stop on the fertile Crescent before you start getting into the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula and North Africa.
This part of the world, the Fertile Crescent, is thought to be where human civilization first grew crops, the birth of agriculture. Stretching across what is now Kuwait, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Palestine, Israel and Egypt, as well as parts of Iran and Turkey, the fertile soils here allowed large, powerful cities and empires to develop, ancient Mesopotamia among them. This is why the region is sometimes called the cradle of civilization.
Look at that climb. That is going to be brutal, and I'm not looking forward to it.
I'd managed to find a warm showers host on a kibbutz a day's ride from Nazareth.
Hello. Some wild boar down there.
Getting there would mean a final push up some very long hills.
Here is an amazing view of the Sea of Galilee. That's where I've come from down there. I've had to stop for a break, some water and some food, like a few kilometers before my destination, because I am absolutely ruined after today. 1,200 meters of climbing. By far the most I've climbed on the entire trip so far. I'm in this stop-start phase of the day where I can manage like a kilometer at a time up this hill and then I have to stop again. Today stopped being fun about 45 minutes to an hour ago. I've made it to the top of my last hill I feel so shaky and hungry and wobbly. And this is my reward! A really long downhill. I just arrived on the kibbutz that my host lives on. That's the entrance back there. This is Mahanayim kibbutz. That was so difficult. But I didn't have to get off and walk once, apart from when I was just squeezing between cars in Nazareth. Anyway, this is where I'm staying. It's another host on a kibbutz, and I'm going to go and join them for dinner downstairs in a second. Goodness, this looks so good.
Very good. Bon appetit.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the lovely meal. That was amazing.
You're very welcome.
The next day, I was heading to an Airbnb on another kibbutz, just north of here.
So many people have these little electric vehicles here to get around the kibbutz. I got a flat tire. Have I got another one here? Oh my god. Have I just punctured both my wheels?
I hadn't planned on hitchhiking again, but another passing driver saw me at the roadside and pulled over.
Once again, I've had to be saved. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I got a flat tire and I'm only going just up the road, so.
Where are you from?
I'm from England. So is Lebanon is this way, Syria...
It's this way.
Yeah.
This is the Golan Heights, and after this it's Syria. You know, it's a little country,
Yeah.
but in this country there is a lot of view.
Yeah.
There is the desert in the south, and all the greens and the mountain in the north.
Yeah.
In a small country.
Before long, I was dropped off at Kibbutz Amir.
Thank you. It was great to meet you. Awesome, man. Take care.
Take care.
That is a big puncture. Alright, so I fixed both my punctures.
A stone's throw from Kibbutz Amir is a river. It didn't seem particularly remarkable at first, but this is the point where several tributaries meet and become an extremely historically and geopolitically important waterway. This is the start of the Jordan River. Downstream from here, it forms the border between parts of Israel, Palestine, and Jordan. It also holds religious significance. Follow it far enough, and you'll come to the spot where Jesus was baptized. Kibbutz Amir, beside this river, marked the northernmost point on my journey to Saudi Arabia. From here, I'd be turning south, back towards the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula. I spent a few days here learning about how a kibbutz, a traditional communal settlement in Israel, works, and how their spread shaped this part of the world. All that is in the next video. I even briefly appeared on the radio here after meeting Tal, a radio host on the kibbutz.
I'm conquering the different types of media. I've been on the TV and now the radio. What else is there? Magazine. I need to get published.
Now I was readying myself for a grueling climb. Up to an infamous plateau, captured by Israel in 1967 and annexed in 1981, but still internationally recognised as Syrian territory. Next, I'd be heading to the Golan Heights and along the Syrian border.